As Super Smash Bros. Ultimate hits the 30 million mark on the Nintendo Switch, I thought it would be a great time to talk about Super Smash Bros. 6 for the next gen Nintendo Switch, because I have a number of ideas that I think that they're going to do based off of my history of covering Super Smash Bros. And playing it for 20 years. Now, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the best-selling fighting game of all time with 29.53 million units sold, and Sakurai stated before that the next Super Smash Bros. Game probably can't have the amount of characters that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has, and he doesn't even know if he's going to be making the next game. Now, in the past, Nintendo has had to greenlight Super Smash Bros. Games a little bit faster because they needed it for their next system, or they are moving on quicker, but obviously with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, that's not the case because the game is doing incredible, and also the Nintendo Switch is doing incredible too. Now, my guess is that the next Nintendo Switch is going to be backwards compatible, and peeps will be able to play and just continue playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate until the next Super Smash Bros. Game is available. I do feel that the next Super Smash Bros. Game will be directed by Masahiro Sakurai. I think he will come back, and it'll be a full reboot for the franchise. Now, here are some changes that I'm predicting based off of player feedback from the previous games, also necessity and what the franchise needs, previous comments from Masahiro Sakurai, and my own knowledge as a Super Smash Bros. Super fan for the past 20 years. Now, let's go ahead and get into the roster first, because I think that you can't really have a Super Smash Bros. Game without a solid base roster. Now, while Super Smash Bros. 6, and that's what I'm calling the next game, won't have 70 plus characters or 80 characters like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate had, I think they will start off with a strong base roster of at least 26 characters, very similar to Melee and its overall count. Now, with more unlockable characters and others provided through DLC, which we will get into a bit later here, you can expect the base to be Mario, Donkey Kong, Link, Samus, Yoshi, Fox, Pikachu, Ness, Captain Falcon, Bowser, Princess Peach, Princess Zelda, and Sheik. I think that base of where we got with Melee will still be there. Now, each of these characters will have their brand new animations and updated movesets to match the look and feel of their games. So, for example, Mario should have some Cappy-based moves, while Samus will have her Metroid Dread / some Prime 4 movesets. Now, modes and gameplay, this is obviously very important as well, and I think that Super Smash Bros. 6 will emphasize a better single-player experience and online experience than previous Smash Bros. Games. Now, we'll get into the online play in just a bit. Now, the focus on a smaller roster and revised gameplay will open up time to create a better single-player experience. Now, I can see them doing something like Subspace Emissary, but much better in quality and actually tuned for single-player play with local or online co-op. And I also expect there to be a lot of the modes from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate tweaked or new gameplay modes for local players. New movement options for competitive players will be discovered, and casuals will have a bunch of new items and stages to play on from updated games. Now, we also have to factor into the music. I think that's obviously going to be very big with the modes and the presentation and what they do, and the stages should be really cool and updated and fun as well. Those are some of the things that make Smash Bros. Smash Bros. It's the music, it's the gameplay, it's the modes kind of all combined together to create this unique experience that really no other game can really put together the same type of way with the star power that Super Smash Bros. Has. Now, let's talk about online play, because this is incredibly important to this next experience, considering how previous Smash Bros. Games have not really delivered in the online department. Let's just be real here. Smash Bros. Just hasn't delivered. Super Smash Bros. Brawl was terrible. Super Smash Bros. for Wii U and 3DS was a little bit better. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was a little bit better than those games, but it wasn't good enough considering the time that it came out and everyone moving over to rollback, which we're going to get into right here. So, Smash Ultimate online play wasn't the best. It uses that delay-based netcode, which is dreaded from fighting game players and just online players just in general. Now, Sakurai was quoted by saying that they tried to implement rollback netcode with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but they weren't able to make it happen due to the amount of time or other issues that they did have. Now, that was all the way back in 2016, 2017 when the game was being developed, 2018. So I guess there was a lot of issues, because even back then, a lot of fighting games didn't use rollback netcode. That is more of a newer thing where you're seeing a ton of games use rollback netcode, and it's a huge undertaking to even add it or implement it very well. Dragon Ball FighterZ, for example, from Bandai Namco is implementing, or has already implemented, a rollback netcode system after being on the market for multiple different years here. But yes, pretty much every single new age fighting game or platform fighter has rollback netcode, so I see them implementing it with Super Smash Bros. 6. Considering Nintendo's new NPLN online system will have even more years under its belt, online needs to be a major focus for Super Smash Bros. 6. Ultimate has some good structure improvements over Smash 4, but ultimately it wasn't good enough. Now, here is where I expect them to take a lot of time on to make sure that they just get this right. Now, all of the offline modes also need to be playable online. It was a bummer to have them add all these cool modes in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for offline play, only to not have them available when playing online, like the team strike mode and all that stuff. All that needs to be online for them to be taken a bit more seriously with it, and also for casuals to jump into the online play more too. Now, tournaments should also be implemented with a wide range and variety of options to customize the experience, online and offline. I don't see why they don't do this already. They've had tournaments before, but they're not very fun. They're not very customizable. They run their own and they just kind of go at their own speed, and the time limits are off. And the offline tournaments, I think, weren't really implemented very well. I know Super Smash Bros. Brawl had one, but Smash 4 and Smash Ultimate, not so good. So they need to fix all of that. That needs to all be a factor when it comes to online and also offline with Super Smash Bros. 6. And I'm hoping that they really do focus on that, because in the past it's really just been about the characters, and new modes kind of come into there and they add different things, but characters has always been the thing now. I think that with Super Smash Bros. 6, you need to get back to the basis, and I think that the reboot of the franchise will help them really spend their time on various different areas where they need to, improving the gameplay, adding a lot of new and different mechanics that's going to make the game look and feel very different from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate or Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and Nintendo 3DS. Now, internally, or intrinsic structure change for Super Smash Bros. 6. Now, this is where I think Smash 6 will be more like Splatoon. Now, they will build a game with update, and updates will come a bit more frequently to hotfix things and get stuff out a bit quicker. Now, I do feel that they will add new assist trophies through this too, which is something they don't usually do, but I think that assist trophies and other little trinkets and little different things are probably going to be updated to keep people playing and engaged a lot longer. Now, new content and modes, I expect that to be distributed as well, just like they were distributed with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but it seems like they were adding things in that had been in previous games that didn't make the cut for this game, and they just added them in, like home run contests and stuff like that. I expect them to maybe even add brand new gameplay modes that we've never seen before, and stuff that's just not like, okay, we had it before and here it is not at this point, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months later, or whatever the case is. So I think that's going to be something that they add in as well. Now, I think it's going to create the feeling of it being a live service game without it actually being a real live service game. Splatoon is very much like that, where the updates come so frequently and it's all free updates and you can just kind of pick it up and get right off where you need to get to and have fun. And I think that Smash 6 will also have that. But I do feel that they're going to continue what they've done before, which is the DLC game and charging for that. I mean, those characters and what they do and how much money they make off of those season passes is incredible. So I don't see them stopping that, and that's going to be a big factor into this too. Now, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has a lot of licensing issues with the game. It's not going to be something to where they can just carry over everything for those that are maybe upset with what I'm saying, but the reality is that they're probably not going to have all of those characters, all of that third party, all of that stuff come back into this new game. So I think they're going to really focus in on those Nintendo characters first and foremost, and then kind of go from there, maybe with some classic third party characters that are staples for the Smash Bros. Series. So, for example, Sonic and Mega Man, right? Those are two characters that have been in multiple Super Smash Bros. Games that are very identifiable with Nintendo hardware and are very iconic. So I could see them adding those into the base roster experience, or to where they're unlockables or DLC very quickly after the game has launched. I think they'll probably be in there though as an unlockable character. And I do think that, you know, obviously stuff like Joker and a lot of these other characters that have been coming through, I don't really see those coming back in this game, at least not initially, maybe later down the line, but we're gonna have to wait and see on that. But I think that the focus for this game is going to be reinvigorate the gameplay, reinvent what they're doing. Don't completely change things to where it doesn't feel like Smash Brothers, but add in different types of angles with the camera, add in different types of gameplay, sure up the online play, sure up the local play, sure up the single player, sure up all of those things to create an experience that is similar for fans out there to go out there and have fun, but also very different to get new people engaged and to get the casual gamer more engaged as well. Now, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate obviously got everybody playing, right? Everybody was playing that, whether you're a casual gamer or you're the hardcore gamer. I mean, it sold 30 million copies, right, and counting. And it's been one of those huge evergreen titles that consistently every quarter, it's selling extremely well. So I think that this game has an opportunity. Obviously, if it's going to be a next-gen Nintendo Switch type of title, I mean, this next Switch has to be very, very good in order for it to continue those sales numbers. And it's going to be very hard, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because Super Smash Bros., no matter what system it's on, it's going to sell really well. It's going to do really well and make them a lot of money. But I expect the Nintendo Switch 2 to get announced or revealed in 2023 and for it to launch in 2024. So the next Super Smash Bros. Game will probably be at least a year or two after that. So that's probably going to be a 2025 or 2026 release, maybe even a bit further out. But that's what I'm guessing. We're in 2022 as of the time that I'm recording this video, so we're looking at a solid 3 years or so before the next Super Smash Bros. Game. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate will still be played quite a bit on the next Nintendo Switch, and that will hold people over. Very similar to how Super Smash Bros. Melee was consistently played, you know, on the Nintendo Wii, despite Super Smash Bros. Brawl taking some extra time to come out. Because remember, Super Smash Bros. Brawl was supposed to be like Super Smash Bros. Melee and be at the very beginning of the new system's life. Melee was right there at the beginning of the GameCube. Not quite a launch title, but right after that, Super Smash Bros. Brawl got delayed to the point where it was in 2008, a year plus after the Nintendo Switch launched in 2006. So I feel that they're not necessarily going to have to rush it out, because the system, when it comes to the Nintendo Switch, the next gen Switch, is going to be secure. I think that they're going to be okay selling it, so they're going to take their time with this one. But it is going to be incredibly interesting to see exactly how all of this plays out. Now, I know a lot of you guys probably have tons of questions and your own thoughts when it comes to Super Smash Bros. 6 and what they're going to do and how it's going to play. So I would love to hear your opinions on that, because Super Smash Bros. Is one of the most iconic classic franchises out there. It really creates this experience that, like I said, you can't really find anywhere else, and that's why it's beloved by gamers everywhere. Every single version of Super Smash Bros. Is a major seller, 5 million units plus, no matter what. So you know you're always going to get a big audience with Super Smash Bros. That's why I think it's really going to be important for them to nail all of these points here, because this is a compilation of everything that they needed to do a bit better and stuff that I think is going to actually enhance the experience for a new audience, and also bring back those gamers who just love Super Smash Bros. And add some much needed updates to multiple different things, like the roster, like Samus. I mean, that's been something that people have talked about for quite some time now, that she needs to have her updated moveset or a new moveset, because it's based on like Samus from like Melee or something like that, right? So I think that that is going to be a big thing for this game, but we're gonna have to wait and see how it all plays out. I know I'm just excited to get into it, because 2023 is going to be a very interesting year. Remember, this is just predictions when it comes down to it. It is not a definitive thing, or I'm not saying that this is 100% for everything. I'm just discussing this because Super Smash Bros. Is one of my favorite franchises of all time. It's my favorite and fresh. So what are your thoughts on all this, guys? I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button